Hey everybody, welcome to part 4 of our series on mentorship. Today, we're continuing to talk about Moses and Joshua, and I'll give you the takeaway right up front. Here's the deal. On the mentor side, so we're talking about mentorship. On the mentor side, if we do not give our mentees the chance to lose, they can never win. If they don't have the chance to fail, to take a risk, then they can never have a success. And if they can't have that success or that win, they can't gain confidence. And it's not always about confidence in yourself. And some of it needs to be in, wow, I've got the ability to do this. This is cool. I can stand in front of a crowd and give a talk about something I'm passionate about and kind of move people and bless people. They need to know that God has gifted them in that way. But if they can't have a success, especially in the face of fear, in the face of challenges, if they don't even have that opportunity, then they'll never have the opportunity to see that God can step in His miraculous, awesome, grace-filled power and provide for them at the very moment they need it, when they need it, how they need it, in a way that they could never imagine possible, and encourage them and give them confidence in that way as well. And we're in Numbers 13, and you can read the whole chapter. The whole chapter is about God telling Moses to send some spies, some leaders, into the promised land just to scope it out, just to explore it. And he doesn't tell Moses who to choose, which is interesting, because when they come back from spying out the promised land, as you might know, 10 of those people that he sends into the promised land, say, yeah, no, it is a beautiful land, it's a great land, it'd be awesome to live in, but we don't have a chance. There's giants there. There's fortified cities. There's walls. I mean, they're so much stronger than we are. I mean, we should just go back to Egypt. We don't even have a chance. And there's 2 of them, Caleb and Joshua, who say, no, God will help us. God has helped us before. He will help us again. We can totally make it. Moses knew his people. Okay, Moses knew a few things. Moses knew that the promised land they were going in was fortified, did have, powerful nations and armies and big giant people and all these things that people, that his people could easily be afraid of. He knew that. My guess is he also knew that 10 of those 12 people he sent in there were not people of, considerable, strong faith and courage. I mean, there's got to have been people, that he could have found who demonstrated on their journey, because they had plenty of opportunity to demonstrate, plenty of times where they needed faith on their journey, where he could have found people to go with Joshua and Caleb who would back up Joshua and Caleb. My guess is that this was kind of like a microcosm. Is that the right word? Kind of like a mini test, a mini situation for Joshua to see what it's like to lead the people of Israel, because most of the people of Israel, as Moses led them, were whining, complaining, and full of doubt, and not faith, and fear, and not courage, right? And so when Joshua goes out in this, you can kind of tell when they come back that during their journey, no one has stepped up, and Joshua should have. No one has stepped up to kind of lead the 12 of them. And no one has said before they return, hey guys, we need to be careful about what our message is back to the people. We need to have one united, unified message, not a divisive one. No one has done that. Joshua has not stepped up. And even more telling is that in chapter 13, verse 30, only Caleb says, no, guys, no, we can totally go into the promised land and take this over. God's going to go before us. God's going to go with us. God's going to get this done. Joshua doesn't back up Caleb at that time. You can read it for yourself. Time passes where the other men go, no, Caleb, you're wrong. And Joshua doesn't say anything. And the whole community starts saying, oh, wow, they're probably right. We shouldn't go in there. And then they say, let's choose a different leader other than Moses and Aaron. And Moses and Aaron fall face down and start praying. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Finally, Joshua speaks up and supports Caleb. Joshua waits too late. Now, here's the final thing. Because the first thing is that Moses, shows us as mentors, we've got to give our people a chance to lose. And sometimes we got to give them a chance to lose and to fail in a big way, because it's proportional. If you can lose in a big way, then you can win in a big way. If you can only lose in a small way and there's little risk, you can't win in a big way. Moses, this is the first time Joshua is sent out to lead, and Moses gives him a chance to lead and win and have a success in a huge way. But at the end of which is the right thing to do, but at the end of the day, Joshua drops the ball. He comes into the picture too late and does not stand up to these other people, these other 10 leaders. He doesn't stand up with Caleb soon enough. Here's the great news. In Joshua chapter 1, when Joshua takes over and he does lead, it's not Caleb leading, Joshua leads. And they're the only two that make it out of the wilderness, from this group of people at this time. But God doesn't appoint Caleb. And God tells Joshua multiple times, as many of you know who've read Joshua 1, Joshua, be strong and courageous. I will be with you wherever you go. Be strong and very courageous. Why does God tell him that? Because on his first test, Joshua failed. On his first test, he failed. But here's the great news. Even though he failed, Joshua didn't get demoted. He still led the people of Israel. And he didn't only lead them into the promised land. They marched around the walls of Jericho and the walls came down. They fought, so many different people groups, and they won over and over and over. And Joshua became a great leader. So even if you fail, even when you drop the ball, and we're all going to do that as a mentee and as a mentor, just know that there's grace. Just know there's grace. So the two things, one, you got to put your mentees in a position where they can fail, because if they can't fail, they can't win. And they've got to win to gain confidence in God and even in the gifts that he's given them. And then also just know if they do fail, if they drop the ball, then guess what? God is great enough, full of grace and mercy. He's got a plan and a purpose that cannot be changed just because we're not perfect. He knows that. And there is grace for us to have a comeback, to rise out of the ashes like a phoenix. And to do even greater things than we were even called to in the first place when we failed, right? So there is always hope. All right, I'll look forward to talking to you again in part 5. Bye.